Hello, we're Team Saving Walter, and today we'd like to present to you the Postmortem for The House in Detroit, a mystery horror game from Team Saving Walter. I'm Dione Severino.
Ryan Cooper.
I'm Ben Wetzel.
I'm Sean Foley.
And I'm Mike Patron.
So, The House in Detroit is a game set in the Dresden Files universe. You play as a normal, average private detective for the Detroit PD, investigating some mysterious disappearances in Detroit. However, as an interesting twist, we decided that you are unaware of the world of magic and its various rules and laws in the Dresden Files universe. So you eventually trace the disappearances to the titular house in Detroit, kind of a rundown house, and upon entering, you find that it is infested with fey creatures who have been attacking and killing the various residents of Detroit who have disappeared.
So in the game, you play as the detective going about the house attempting to find evidence of the missing people there. As you get further into the house and encounter the Fae themselves, and find the evidence you need, you eventually decide that you need to also find evidence of the supernatural there and attempt to piece together what exactly is going on. Um, Afterwards, you have to try to escape the house. All the while, the Fays are roaming the house, attempting to find you and kill you.
So some things went really well for us with this project. We were especially pleased with how it turned out aesthetically, and we were really excited for the art style. It was really what we wanted with it, and we think it creates a good sense of unease while you're playing. We also were proud about how we were able to implement some interesting mechanics, such as our proximity-based lighting system, which follows certain movable objects throughout the game experience, such as the player, candles, and the Fey monster that chases you. There, of course, were some things that we were less pleased with. We had hoped to include more as a overall scope of the game, such as more interactions with the Fey creature, potentially more combat patterns for the Fey creature. Right now it's just one pattern, but we had hoped for more, as well as a few different variations of the Fey. We feel that the game is rather basic and that most of the fun comes from avoiding the Fey while you're being chased, which is kind of easy and not that much of a challenge.
So working together, some of the pros was the game looks incredibly nice, as previously mentioned. Everybody contributed a lot on this project and came up with interesting ideas to help solve the problems with the project. However, due to external circumstances such as family obligations or other finals and the whole semester winding down, some deadlines were missed. So, lots of bugs slowed down progress. And ultimately, we weren't able to get as much done as we thought we would.
So if we were to continue this game into the future, there are a ton of new things that we would like to add. We would like to implement a lot more new features that includes expanding the actual level to include more rooms. We do have a very high surplus of rooms in the game already, but we would like more. We would like more intricate ways to deal with the Fae, more ways to interact with it, because we really like the concept of the Fae creature itself. We would like to see more things that it could do, more patterns it could do, more ways it could screw with the player. We'd also like to refine the storyline a little bit more, just to make things just a tad more interesting. And we'd also like to add a few more other endings and secrets, maybe Easter egg types, to just sort of fall in line with other horror games of the same type, like Silent Hill or Faith. That was a great post-mortem presentation, me, the rest of the group. Before I actually get into the gameplay itself, let's just take a look at the credits real quick. We have Ben Wetzel on the design. He was the one who laid out the level design as well as the design of some characters and how they look. Dio was in charge of UI and interactables. Mike was in charge of the story and why the character is here. I was in charge of mechanics and making things move, and Sean Foley was in charge of the art and the music, which he did a stellar job on. But it's enough talk about that. Let's actually get into the gameplay itself. So when you actually load into the game, you'll find this little onboarding system right here. Very faint, just WASD and spacebar, and the arrow keys to move around. P to pause, escape to quit, simple stuff. As you can see here, we kind of took a step up in the gore factor when compared to the Dresdale universe. What's the reason why? You're in Detroit. Things are worse here. It's a little creepy here, admittedly, but this is the type of atmosphere we wanted to go for. We wanted to go something a little bit more gory. So as you can see here, you press spacebar to lock the door, and you gotta be careful because this bad guy will hunt you down. Admittedly, he's not as complex as we'd like him to be, but we only had 5 weeks to continue the project, so... the objective of this game is to collect the interactables and the clues you need to solve the case and get out of the house alive. It takes a little bit of work to do so, but I assume you have the guts to do so. I want to take some time in this room to point out the actual lighting system. Unity's 2D lighting system is actually experimental, as the actual code for the 2D lighting is labeled experimental right next to it, so it doesn't blend perfectly all the time, but we think it's super cool having this niche little lighting system with the player constantly in the dark. So I gotta be careful here because there's a Fae right there. So you just gotta be careful not to run into him because he spells trouble wherever he walks. So let's actually grab the Talesman right here. This is one of the objects you need to collect, and you'll run into a little text box when you do. Now, admittedly, this is a little bugged, but we didn't have all the time in the world to properly finish this, so I understand that there are a few bugs in here. But that's pretty much the gist of the game. It's very simple in its structure, but in its lore and its depth of level, you'll find a lot of complexities in this game. So I'm just going to leave this off by giving our good old Faye a big old bear hug. Let's go give him a hug. Not the hugging type, I guess.